Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are. I hope you're hydrated, trying to get healthy, and keeping track of what's important in your life. Um, Recently, I saw a video trying to rank Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul characters by their intelligence, and that video had no methodology as to how they estimated their intelligence. On top of that, they like just they used IQ points. No character in the entire franchise ever had an IQ test. Yes, they were explicitly smart, but that doesn't make them, you know, 160 IQ points or 200 IQ points. You know what I mean? So, in this video, I'm going to be estimating all of their, as many characters as I can, their intelligence, and go from least intelligent to the most intelligent, and I will be giving explanation as to all of them. And on this side of the screen, I'm gonna be like listing their traits as to why I think they are this intelligent. So, disclaimer: I am not an expert by any means. I am not a psychiatrist. I am not a therapist. I am not a psychology professor, a psychologist, or even a psychology student. The only thing that I am is I study behavioral psychology in my leisure time, and I try researching into mental disorders. So I have some idea as to how a intelligent person acts, how a dumb person acts, and the differences between the intelligent person and the dumb person, as it's kind of like they're very similar, and how average people are. So the first name that they mentioned is Wendy. Maybe because she is supposedly a method and a prostitute. However, so I completely disagree with this insinuation, as a name like Crazy Eight or even Skylar White. Like, Skylar White is not a prostitute, but people think that she's annoying, so she must be less intelligent. However, so she is not less intelligent, and even someone like Crazy Eight, he was also not portrayed to be less intelligent in either franchise. In fact, the only word that can be used as negative is naive, and that's as much as I can say about Crazy Eight's intelligence, because he is not less intelligent than a lot of other characters who were placed above him. So, in my opinion, the least intelligent two characters are Lionel and Marco Salamanca. Yes, they were very competent and they were very thorough with their procedures. However, so that doesn't make them intelligent, and that's kind of about it for their skills. They don't have any problem solving skills, and they do not show much of anything else. So yeah, that's kind of about it for them. And then is Emilio Coyoma. He also has the same problems as the Salamanca twins, where he does not have a diverse skill set, and even in the skill sets that he has, it's mostly down to experience as to how he got them. So it's not like he is the most talented Breaking Bad character ever. So Combo is also somebody not that special, and the one time where he did have to, and the one time that he did have to show his skill set in intelligence was where he had to save his own life, and he still had to rely on others. So I don't think problem solving is any of his traits. And then the last person who can be categorized as below average is Hugh Babineau. I understand that he is a fan favorite and he has had significant cultural impact since his first debut in Breaking Bad, but sadly he's not the sharpest tool in the shed. So, and for okay, I am judging these characters, and I have mentioned a few things. So I guess one thing that I would ask you guys to do is try to judge my IQ points in range. Like, I'm saying like below average, which is like 90 to 100, and then average I'm considering it to be 100 to 110. Above average would be 110 to 120. Smart would be 120 to 130, and then very smart would be 130 to 140. Genius would be like 140 to 150. Crime aficionados, in this case, is like 150 to anything above 150, like even 200 and I don't know 6,000 is still a crime aficionado. You know what I mean? So yeah, try to guess my IQ points or the range you would drop me in, and what mental disorders I have, because mental illnesses, mental disorders, they both affect IQ. As you know, IQ is, especially the arithmetic and the logical ones, are very much observable in tests. So, and then the next name is, okay, I cannot actually place these two names, and the first name is Peter Schuler, as he is not developed in any capacity, and that's kind of a shame because he does have some resources, so he might have been resourceful, however, so he is not developed, and he seems very anxious. But Brock Conti, on the other hand, he is a child, so I guess not that diverse skill set, so I have to be a bit modest and just not drop them anywhere other than just say they are average intelligent, and that's kind of about it. I don't actually understand where they would be because they are not developed properly. So one character who is developed enough is Tortuga, who had only some minutes of screen time, however, so those minutes were crucial as he laid out several behavioral patterns about himself, which he arrogance is something that intelligent people rarely are, and even if so, they're even they have to back up their arrogance, and he's just like, I'm slow out of the gate, but I'm always the one to reach fast, which means he has experience but not intelligent. So भाइयों बहनों, कैसी हो? দেখা যাচ্ছে olvidé grabar el video. God, what the Fučík. Not the smartest of anyone, but he was just there and he was kind of thorough with his stuff and not kind of that smart, so he is kind of average, but at least he gets his stuff done, and he is smart enough to over prepare based on others. So I guess that's something that you can say about Fučík, or you can also call him Mr. X. Tuca Salamanca, another guy who he is a guy who thinks he's very smart, but he's not that smart. He thinks he has sixth sense, but all he does is intimidate you. I mean, anybody can learn that from experience, but not that much intelligence can be, is put into his procedures. He is kind of erratic, which smart people rarely are, and he is quite self-destructive. He also doesn't think thoroughly as to what he's going to do, and then how his actions are going to Declan. Again, pretty average, but there's little to his name. I mean, what can I say about Declan? It's just like, yeah, he exists. So moving on, I guess. Tuca Salamanca, sixth sense guy. No, he's not that smart. He believes himself to be smart, but he is actually not that smart, and that's kind of about it. He's not even that observant. Wendy. It was depicted, she was said to be like fucking unintelligent, but the thing is that she's not unintelligent. Yes, she is beat up in life, and then she's beat down by the society, and then she lives in a bad part of town where she is surrounded by gangsters and the police, and her life is at risk constantly. I don't believe her to be lucky, but rather surviving well enough intelligently. So next name is Andrea Cantillo. For this one, I actually do have some evidence that she is quite average, and that is the fact that she is capable of managing her household, but she also had a child before a convenient time, so I guess she felt pressured or something, and that certainly shows a lack of resolve on her part, but she is capable, and problem solving skills is kind of there. Walter White Jr., he is attentive, he is quite empathetic, he is smart enough, and he is determined to follow through on his promises, so that shows at least average intelligence. However, so because of his condition, he is less than what he could have. So above average intelligence possibly, but still handicapped basically, so unfortunately he is average at best. Daniel Wormold, also known as Price by his underworld name. Cool name. So he's not that observant. I would actually blame that on naivete, and that's kind of about it. He also does not have a lot of brain power to do background checks or even prepare beforehand. The only thing he does is like, okay, what can I do then, like temporary solutions to temporary problems. He does not think long term, so yikes. Ernesto is, I believe, a low level intern or high level intern, whatever, so he is not that higher up, maybe mid-level management in HHM, and that shows that he has patience and acute. He is quite perspicuous and he understands exactly what to do when. So not exactly a civil fire, but kind of understanding of the situation. Betsy Kettleman, the dominatrix of her family, and that's kind of about it for her skill set, because yes, she is a bit insane, and but you have to also remember the fact that she was the one who pushed Craig Kettleman, who is a bit below than her. She was the one who pushed Craig Kettleman to do the embezzlement thing and figured out a way for him to temporarily stay out of trouble. So Marco Pasternak, again, this is somebody who has to rely on experience rather than intelligence. There is still some attentiveness to detail, so whenever there is some trouble, he is capable of getting away, so that's something, I guess. And sort of problem-solving skills, I guess. Jane Margolis, just keen enough to take care of the house she is in, but not aspiring to be anything special. She can spot problems, like potential problems and then potential solutions, but those are not too complex and very simple. And she is also kind of quick-witted and humorous. Humor is something that intelligent people have in spades, so yeah, that's one sign. Badger and Skinny Pete, I believe them to be of the same caliber, as they have the same aspirations, same level of aspiration, and they also have the same habits and also the same vocabulary, which means that they are very very much alike. And they also have the same reaction time and problem solving skills, as in when the time where it mattered the most, where Jace was about to caught in the El Camino, they still had to get an escape plan, and they did it within time. So that shows competency, but they were not not the sharpest tool in the shed, but sharp enough. They're competent, but yeah. Juan Bolsa, also called Don Bolsa, high-level cartel member, but he just relies on flashiness to get away with the things he does, because he's not attentive to anything. He just sees things and see it from experience. He sort of gets it, I guess. Victor, there is little to be said about Victor that is impressive. I mean, if he was a bit more attentive, he wouldn't have gotten himself killed or caught. So yikes. But he does have the memory to remember details, just not the ability to use it properly. Old Joe, similar to Victor, but in a completely different scenario, where he has resources, so he is a bit more passive, as he is not young, but he has the capabilities to do some sort of problem solving and then problem identification. He is sort of attentive and has good memory. Todd Alquist is a tricky name, because psychopaths in general are more intelligent than the average people. So he is definitely smart, but it's kind of a hard placement, as the only things that he is shown to be smart and quick-witted is from experience, and things that he has learned from is presumably his uncle, and he is very determined and thorough, so I guess that's about it for him. Donald Margolis, on the other hand, is in the complete opposite spectrum as of Jack, where he is not a criminal of any kind. But the reason why I would place Donald in smart is because of his attentiveness, his ability to decipher behavior, and his patience, for he is an air traffic controller, and many things that he does shows that he is disciplined. Barry Goodman is similar to Donald, but he is a bit more on the gray side, as Barry Goodman is definitely willing to get himself a bit dirty to do good. And on top of that, he also has some spatial awareness, I guess, and he has, resourcefulness, capability to handle logistics, and also be able to understand exactly whom to prioritize and whom to not, and also acute problem-solving skills. Skylar White is also very similar to Barry Goodman. However, so I believe that she is a bit more acute than Barry, or maybe they are in the same caliber, because every of Skylar's decisions that she took with Walter, against Walter, those were all accurate. Same with Barry, he was always correct. Skylar White is also always correct, but she was portrayed to be annoying. So I'm going to be explaining a bit more as to why Skylar White is not as dumb as you think. So the first time where she understood that Walter is hiding things from her is by his behavior around drugs and pot, and also with a cell phone. So that average people will get that. So that doesn't mean that Skylar is smart. However, so it's later on in the series where she had to actually use her intelligence to get away from very tricky situations, and it wasn't just something that can be done in a whim. It also took a lot of dedication and also planning to connect the dots like this to that. So that took acute awareness and attentiveness, and also perspicuousness, and the ability to understand from one side to the other. So that's a lot of skill set that a lot of people don't understand about Skylar White, is that she is definitely very smart, and even the patience to be an accountant, I believe. So come on. And you might call it simple problem solving skills, but however, so I believe it was a bit more lengthy than that, as even when dealing with Walter White's car wash, she still had the ability to not only see through the problem, but also have the dedication to get through the problem. Like vision and action, these two are completely different things, and she was doing it both. Ed Galbraith, or Ed Galbraith? Ed the Disappearer. This is another guy who I believe is smart, as he is quite patient, he is very cautious, and he has a lot of resources. He is also resourceful and is able to keep logistics. He also has, I believe, a couple real estate, so that means he is good at finances, and also he is very undercover, so that's something. I guess that also puts Ed at good in social networking, along with Skylar White. Hector Salamanca, another person who believes himself to be way smarter than he is, and is very distrusting, reasonably, but you can also call him Don Hector if you love him, I guess. So I don't have much things to say about him, because it's actually his experience that makes him smarter than he potentially could have been, because he is quite experienced. Patrick Cuby is another smart character. He never shines out. He is more of the servile and docile type, and he comes in service to critical characters like Saul Goodman, Skylar White. So and even like, okay, less intelligent in case of Walter White, as Walter did not give him too complicated of schemes, but he was very reactive, and like he reacted fast, and he understood the assignment really well, and he has the competency to see through things, and go, like he has the competency to complete his task well. Mary Schrader is somewhat underdeveloped in this franchise. However, so she did have the patience to be a doctor, and also the skill sets to be a doctor, which requires some intelligence, and also the vast knowledge that she has to remember. So I'm not exactly sure if she is specialized or not, but she is definitely smart, and I guess her only Achilles heel is her condition of kleptomania. And again, somebody with a condition that like hinders them is Lydia Rhoda Quill, and she is quite attentive and perspicuous. She's also like anxious, but I guess that makes her smarter, because he is very cautious in her game, and also like keeps track of everything around her, which you can't say for a lot of characters. So she has skill sets. She also has social networking, but could have been smarter. Stephen Gomez is like shadowed by Hank Schrader, as Stephen Gomez is only showed for maybe 30 minutes in the entire franchise, or maximum an hour, but not any more than that. But Hank Schrader definitely has more runtime than that. So Stephen Gomez, or Stevie, he has signs that she has the same like skill sets as Hank, as they almost got promoted in the same time, and maybe Hank was the superior of like Steve. Jack Welker is somebody who has the experience, so I guess that makes him smart. And the one time where Jack, I believe, shows his intelligence is when like Walter calls off the hit, but Jack decides that despite the hit being called off, it would be in his best interest and his family's best interest, and also Walt's best interest to see through this problem that is probably happening. So that was the right judgment call from his side. Howard Hamlin. He's not a salesman like Saul Goodman or Jimmy McGill calls him, but rather Howard Hamlin is difficult to say exactly why I believe he's smart, but I guess it's his practice of law that makes me believe that he is smart, and that's kind of about it. Sorry about that, but yeah, I sort of have a soft spot for lawyers who are running. And he's also an entrepreneur of his sole entrepreneur of his like company, so that's something. Eladio Vento, Don Eladio. Now, one thing that people mistake for Don Eladio is that they think he's just some cartel member, he's the senior guy, he's that, he's this. But the truth is, the only reason he is the top guy is because of his ability to manipulate others, and also his keen attentiveness, and also his dedication, and not only dedication but also his resourcefulness to find out about people who apparently Gus Fring is someone who is difficult to track down, and he had the skills to track Gus Fring down. Dude, that is some level of that is something. FBI motherfucker. So yeah, Tyrus Kid is the smarter version of Victor, and he is also someone who has a bit more initiative than Victor, as many times, as I believe twice actually in the franchise, where he showed some attentiveness to detail, where he objected to both Mike and Gus Fring, and he was relatively correct as to his assessment. So that's something. So take Victor, make him better, you get Tyrus Kid. Crazy 8. Okay, this is another character that I have to explain in a bit more in depth, as in Better Call Saul he is younger and he is quite naive. However, so his naivety is mostly due to him being low level and not much experience, like come on. But he was quick to catch up, and then even like after he became a DEA informant, confidential informant, he was quite capable in balancing both the DEA side and also the criminal underworld side, where he was taking out the criminals while helping the DEA, while not getting killed by both sides. That is some dedication to your own life, and so that's intelligence. And then he also had this theatrics and also the sanity to stay sane while doing things that would make him insane. So, and also on top of that, he is quite deceptive and perspicuous. So when he noticed that Walter was debating with himself that he shouldn't kill Domingo, maybe it took him time, maybe he thought it very thoroughly, but one thing that he couldn't have thought of thoroughly is the fact that he had to take a plate shard and use it, and also pick which one would be the most effective. So Gail Bettaker, the last two characters, you could have objected that maybe they're not very smart, but Gail Bettaker is definitely very smart, as he has a master's in some degree, but doesn't matter, he's dead. And then he was very good at the meth recipe by himself, but he is dead, so it doesn't matter. Gail's Achilles heel was his naivety, which is unfortunate. Hank Trader, the cunning DEA agent who is attentive, who is perspicuous, who is also experienced, and oh man, this guy has a lot of skill sets. Like, I am not placing this guy lightly. He is definitely very smart. The only problem that Hank Trader has is his pride and ignorance to who can be and who can not be. So yeah, Jesse Pinkman throughout the series is actually a little inconsistent, so I have to break this up into two parts. So the first part is Jesse Pinkman in the first two series and the first half of season 3, where he is kind of not aspiring to be anything. He is also not that problem solving. He has some problem identification skills, but not that attentive. But he was quick to learn Walter's recipe. And then in the latter half of Breaking Bad and also El Camino, he showed not only attentiveness, dedication, and also like complete thoroughness with his competency. He also had some deceptiveness and remembrance. He also has social networking skills and like a somewhat good memory. He also understands exactly what to do exactly when, until he panics. So anxiety is his only downfall. Francesca Liddy, the underdog of Saul Goodman, the underdog under Saul Goodman. So the thing about Francesca Liddy is that she is definitely smart, as she is the receptionist, and not only she is a receptionist, but she is also probably someone who handles logistics for Saul Goodman. So that definitely puts her with patient deceptiveness and cunning attentiveness and many other skills. Jimmy McGill, Slipping Jimmy, Saul Goodman. This guy is definitely smart. He is definitely very smart. But the thing about Saul Goodman is that he has anxiety, and it's hard to explain how he could have been smarter, but he is definitely smart. So let me explain the smart part. So the thing about Saul Goodman is that like Jimmy McGill is the benevolent side of Slipping Jimmy and Saul Goodman. So Jimmy McGill did cons, yes, but that was to benefit others rather than himself. And Slipping Jimmy and Saul Goodman rather very resourceful, able to handle logistics, very cunning, attentive, perspicuousness, problem-solving skills, fast reaction time. A lot of skill sets, but those are all done for himself. So definitely very smart, but not the best. Okay, I was gonna transition to somebody else, but turns out these are two underdeveloped characters. So the first of one of many geniuses are Gretchen and Elliot Schwartz. That's it. I don't have much to say. Chuck McGill. Chuck McGill is the arrogant, the definitely law-abiding and very, very cunning brother of Jimmy McGill. Like anything that Jimmy does, Chuck McGill does it faster, he does it better, and he does it more thoroughly. His only Achilles heel is his pride and arrogance and inability to see Jimmy as anything good. So, and okay, Chuck McGill was also very attentive to details. He was also like, there was one scene where he showed that he won a case which was apparently impossible. So that definitely shows that Chuck not only has resources but also has some brain power and persuasiveness. And many times in the series, several times in the series, he also displayed low-level deceptiveness. But I guess insanity does make him a little dumber than he was in what we saw. That cannot be said to Kim Wexler, as she is the female version of Chuck, who is arguably a better lawyer than Chuck is when we saw Kim and Chuck. Maybe Chuck in his prime days was as good as Kim was, and Kim was actually more on the naive side, so she had the potential to be even better than she was. And after she started scheming with Jimmy, she was actually winning a lot more cases than she was, before. The one time where she showed her full skill set was against Howard Hamlin. With Howard Hamlin, it was like Saul Goodman and Kim, Saul Goodman and Slippin' Kimmy, they had the dedication and the competencies to not only make little mistakes, but also like when they had encountered a problem, they actually had the reaction time and the skills and also the dedication to just purge through the problem. So that is something that intelligent people can do, not just dumb people with their ego. Werner Ziegler is definitely smart, but I guess he was kind of soft and he was attentive in his work, but he wasn't well adjusted in the criminal world, where he was supposed to keep things secret, but he did not maintain the deal, which I guess I'll excuse it to be of his mental state, and that's all. But he was definitely smart. The last name who is definitely a genius is Ignacio Varga, or Nacho, as he is called throughout the series. I wonder where that name comes from. So little Nachito in the beginning was very naive, but he also had the consciousness to realize who were the easiest targets to go after, and that shows some perspicuousness. And also, as he got more experience, he took on even more difficult even more difficult challenges, and that was quite fast, by the way. This happened within like weeks to months. He also has a dedication to go against like people as Don Hector and Eduardo Salamanca. So that's some other things, and again, skills are here, so read them as you go through. So, and any other time where he outshined the competition was in his deceptiveness against many of the cartel members. He became more and more smart with experience, and actually the signs of intelligence was there since the beginning, as he was able to like calm Tuco Salamanca down since the beginning. So yeah, the signs of intelligence were always there. It's just with experience he became more and more smart. You know what I mean? Like experience always makes a person a little smarter, like 5 to 10 IQ points. Mike Ehrmantraut. He is the most experienced and he has a lot of knowledge, but you can also say the same thing about somebody else later on in this list. Look, everyone over here has the same skill sets. It's just Mike makes more mistakes than the rest. The few times when Mike shows his intelligence is when he confronted his baby boys killers, and then the time where he like understood exactly what to do to get away from the situation, and also like extract information which he probably wouldn't have otherwise. And then there's also the fact that he was able to stealthily like see where the money was in the trucks. Gus Fring definitely realizes the potential in Mike, and later on as Mike became more confident and more evil, he showed his full skill set, where he was not only stealthily killing. There are wasps in my fucking room. I am bothered by those. I have been stung many fucking times. So he has a lot of skill sets, and he is also quite resourceful, and he is quite smart and like quick-witted to get out of situations. Eduardo Salamanca, or you can call him Lalo, the man who makes the tacos, the man who burns down the Los Pollos Hermanos, and the man who got out of a fucking shooting at his own fucking home where he did not expect it. But still, he was sort of lucky, he was sort of unlucky, but definitely resourceful enough to, here's the thing. He showed many times that he was smart, like he knew the layout of his house well enough to get out of like this scenario, and he rushed to his fucking bathroom so that he could escape. And then later on he went to a family where he had fixed the guy's teeth exactly to his specification so that he could get out of a situation like this. So that shows dedication that the person next in this list shows. Again, smarter than Mike, but less experienced than Mike, which let Mike get ahead of Lalo Salamanca. But then Lalo Salamanca did all these things with little to no resources, and when he was all alone, he still was able to find extract information from Gus's men and then go to Germany. I can keep gushing about Lalo Salamanca and also about Gus. I can keep on gushing about Gus. I try to make that rhyme, sorry. Gus Fring is much older than Lalo Salamanca, I guess by 20 years or something like that. That makes him more experienced, and they're equally intelligent, as they both have the same resources and the same resourcefulness. And when Gus Fring had the resources, he was on defense, which is, by the way, like the point where you have to be smarter than your opponent to win, because offense is like, okay, let's just say offense is like this. So in order for me to break my own skin, the only thing that I need to do is have an equipment to break the skin. But if I want to not allow this to break my skin, I have to do something in the blind, in darkness, without any information, like with my eyes closed. I might miss, So it's like that. Being on defense requires more intelligence. They were both handicapped like this. So Lalo Salamanca did not have resources. Gus Fring had resources, but he had no idea what Lalo was doing, as he was operating in complete darkness. It's just the mind games on these two. And then there's also this anticipation as to what the other person could be doing. So it was like months of anticipation and like planning and like understanding what the other person can do and reacting quickly. Gus Fring is definitely a crime aficionado. escaping from the Pinochet regime, settling in Mexico, escaping from Mexico, settling in America, getting bombed in America. And then the guy who bombed Gus Fring, the guy who is definitely smarter than Gus Fring, is Walter Heisenberg White. This guy was extremely naive, but quickly learned, and not only learned but also retained every single information as to what he learned. And then he was also very good at problem solving, problem identification, not only like simple problems but also very complex ones, and then be able to decipher extremely complicated plans and also simple plans throughout the entire series. And then not only that, but he also had the ability to, like, he was extremely determined. Yes, his arrogance was his Achilles heel, but he was extremely intelligent. Like, how many scenes will I mention where, like, from a genius to extremely intelligent? Like, I guess the least of his, the least intelligent after season 2 was when he poisoned Brock Cantillo. But then the scenes afterwards just shows extreme, all skills that he used, all skills that he had, he utilized them. Deceptiveness, perspicuousness, attentiveness, fast reaction time, resourcefulness, able to handle logistics, persuasiveness, determination, craftsmanship, creativeness. Holy shit. He did it all by himself, by the way. He did most of that work by himself. So his arrogance is definitely justified. Wait, there's another name. I'm sorry, but yeah, it turns out there's another name. There's another person who is smarter than Heisenberg. I guess I'll just mention 3 of the dumbest characters before I mention this guy. So I said the least intelligent characters are Lionel and Marco Salamanca, but there are dumb characters, and the third dumbest character in the entire show is Ted Beneke. Motherfucker just looks dumb. Fuck him. And then is Bill Oakley. Again, motherfucker just looks dumb. Fuck him. Oh, Bill Oakley and Ken are tied up at 65 IQ points, so I guess they're kind of about the same, because motherfucker just looks dumb. Fuck him. The most intelligent character in the entire Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul universe. You guys have seen him in both series, and I guess people never truly realized his intelligence. And it is our Lord and Savior Hugh Babineau. Oh my God, he made a fucking comeback. And let me explain. He is the smartest character in the fucking show because he was caught for pickpocketing some guy, and then he later on realized, okay, I need to be smarter. So he starts surrounding himself with smarter people like Saul Goodman, and then later on he realized, okay, I need to be even smarter than that, because after he deceived Chuck McGill, he realized that deception is the name and game of this game. So he started deceiving every single person around him. He started deceiving you, who is not even in this universe. You're in this universe, and he deceived you. But 10 betting he saw through his. I guess being the dumbest, or the third dumbest, has some perks. So Hugh Babineau showed his intelligence throughout the series, acting bumbling, acting dumb, but he was smart. He did not take a huge dump in Walter's house for no reason. He bugged the entire house to make sure that Walter didn't get his ass in jail. So the time when Hank Schrader and Steve Gomez confronted him, he acted dumb so that he doesn't go to jail. He doesn't want to go back to jail. He doesn't want to have a bad life. He acted dumb to stay safe. He was never in trouble. He was always the smartest character of all time. And even when the time where Saul just undervalued Hugh's skills, where he said, oh my God, his fat fingers could have killed everyone by breaking the cigarette. No, even though he's got fat fingers, he's got very, very accurate movements. And then comes the scene which demonstrates the two scenes which demonstrates Hugh's true intelligence. Well, I have to make a lot of inferences, and the scenes are related to Ted's rug. You know what I'm talking about. So the thing that happened is that Ted bought this shitty little rug. I don't even remember the fucking color. Do you remember the color? It was fucking shitty. It was god awful compared to the rest of his house. That was such an odd fit. Why would somebody get that? His fucking floor looks better than the fucking rug. What the fuck? But the truth is, he was persuaded, he was convinced, without his knowledge, without anybody's knowledge, to buy that shitty little rug. And who did it? Hugh Banner. Ted Bennick never even knew that Hugh did it, but he realized it when he saw his face. When Ted made the run to escape from Hugh Banner, to escape his wrath, he was already reasonably happy. But he became unreasonably happy, increased his fucking IQ points, increased his intelligence, became telekinetic, and then made Ted slip on the fucking rug. Extreme intelligence makes you telekinetic. Like the same way I'm gonna make you fucking like and subscribe, and please comment on the fucking video. I need to repeat, man.